as far as a wish when it pertains to the wrestling world, my wish is we get John Cena in some type of featured match at WrestleMania. He's been
Nice.
gone for too long. He's my favorite of all time. If you didn't know that fun fact, I'm hoping we see him this WrestleMania in a match.
So what have been your thoughts on the lack of John Cena in 2019? I think the only times we've really seen him were when he came back for a minute at the beginning of the year. He came back on Raw, came back on SmackDown, maybe wrestled all of one or two matches, and he was supposed to be the Rumble. He wasn't. I don't think he was ever supposed to be there, but they were advertising him for a little bit. Wasn't in the Rumble match. Didn't see him again until WrestleMania when he popped back up as the Doctor of Thugonomics, which was awesome. And then we got to see him at the Raw, what was it, the Raw reunion show back in July. And I think that was the last time that he appeared on WWE TV. So for the first time really ever in the 20 years almost that he's been with the company, 17, 18 years he's been on the main roster now since 2002, that he really has not been a part of WWE in any form or fashion. Like we've had years in recent years where he'll come back for a couple months, do a couple matches, whether it be SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series even, and then he'll go back off and do his acting or filming or whatever TV shows. This year, really, he has not had an actual run in WWE. Again, wrestling all of maybe one or two matches, and they weren't even I don't think he had a single pay-per-view match all year. He wasn't at the Saudi shows, he was at WrestleMania, didn't compete there for the first time in a few years. But your thoughts, David, as a big John Cena fan yourself, your thoughts on the lack of John Cena in 2019?
I think when you speak on shows like this and you create content, I think it's very important because we're all fans, it's important to think like fans, but also look at the bigger picture. As a fan, it bothers me, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It really bothers me because it's like here's a guy who he's just so synonymous and attached to the WWE brand, and it's almost like he disappeared, almost like out of sight, out of mind. And I'm not completely used to it because I do think WWE, has one of their deepest rosters as far as talent goes in forever. But I can't help but feel that not having John Cena, you're sacrificing so much star power. Like we don't even get him on a Brock Lesnar basis. Brock shows up more than Cena now.
Yeah, he does.
So it's like I really wish as a fan that he would show up more. But in the bigger picture, not thinking like a fan, I understand. He paid his dues. He earned the right to explore other options and make a living in other ways. And I'm just hoping he'll be back for WrestleMania or sometime soon, at least on a part-time basis, because John Cena has a lot to offer still. And as soon as you stamp his name on the marquee, the show means a lot more.
Do you think his absence has been felt on Raw and SmackDown this year without him?
I think nobody wants to admit it, but yes, yeah, it does. It really does. I think we're in a strange position where this is the deepest and most talented roster, again, to reiterate, and there's no shortage of great matches and great talents. But there is a little bit of a shortage of charismatic, true superstars. And I think John Cena is one of them automatically when he's involved. And I think WWE does miss that.
I think, like you said, as far as things as people and specifically fans don't want to admit, one thing I think people don't want to admit is the fact that they do indeed miss John Cena. They don't want to say it because it's not,
Absolutely.
it might actually be the cool thing to say now. I'm not sure because with all the hate that Rollins has been getting recently and even Reigns a couple of years ago, I think Cena's kind of out of he's not really in that conversation anymore in terms of people that the fans feel that are being shoved down their throats or don't like or whatever, because we never see the guy. So how can you argue that he's being shoved down our throats if he's never on TV anymore and hasn't held a world championship in almost 3 years? And even that one title reign he had at the Rumble in 2017, the reign lasted all of 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's really hard to argue that he's still the main event player that he was years ago in terms of how prominently featured he was on programming, that he buries this guy or buries that guy, when we really haven't seen that at all in a long, long time. But you mentioned WrestleMania 36 coming up, and a few short months, and I mean, we just wrapped up Survivor Series season, and it's usually around this time every year that we kind of get an idea, a small idea of what we might be seeing at WrestleMania. I feel like we don't really have that right now. Not to say this is the first time that something like this has happened. We didn't really have an idea of what WrestleMania 35 would look like either, outside of Rousey and Becky. Like, if you told me a year ago that we'd be getting Bryan and Kofi for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, I would have called you crazy. But I mean, Kofi got really popular. It was the best match to do. Ended up being the best match in the entire show. So it's hard to tell sometimes this far in advance what WrestleMania might be looking like. I feel like at this time a year ago, we weren't really sure what John Cena would be doing for WrestleMania. I think a lot of people thought it would be, myself included anyway, John Cena and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship of Mania. I thought that would be a nice direction to go in. They never really got a rematch from their SummerSlam match at this point 6 years ago, I think 2013. And obviously we never ended up getting that. And it seems like the further along we go, despite how many new people they bring up from NXT, the amount of people I want to see Cena face, and it's not a John Cena problem. It's more, it's kind of along the lines of they're not creating as many stars as they probably should be. And that's not on a knock on the talent at all. It's really the company and how they book these people. But it seems like the amount of, I mean, dream matches is thrown around so often that there really aren't any dream matches left. It really depends on what your definition of a dream match is. But as we speak right now, David, on the 5th of December, 2019, what match do you think could happen for John Cena at WrestleMania in a dream booking scenario? It could very well be the same match. A match that you would like to see, but you don't think is all that likely for Cena next year at the Show of Shows.
There's a few. This is an unpopular opinion because I know there's a vocal minority that is just begging for him to retire. But, it kind of bothers me. And I think it's a disservice to us fans that these two never, since they became future Hall of Famers, they've never had a proper one-on-one on a big stage. I still wouldn't rule out The Undertaker. I would like to see him and The Undertaker on a real big stage because, let's be honest, that wasn't really a match when they had their last encounter at WrestleMania. It was simply Cena putting him over to reestablish that aura to some degree. And in that respect, it kind of worked. Undertaker, besides the Goldberg mess in Saudi, he looked okay after that. But to scratch out The Undertaker, if dream scenario, speaking of dream, I would like Velveteen Dream versus John Cena. I think those two could have awesome promos, an even better match, and Velveteen Dream will walk away an even bigger star.
That's actually a great answer because, like I said, there's not many people, in my opinion, even looking at the NXT roster, that I want to see face John Cena. Not because it wouldn't be a good match, but just because I don't really see the appeal of, for example, like I think a Matt Riddle-John Cena match in the ring would probably be a great match. I mean, John Cena and AJ Styles had some of my favorite matches of either of their careers a few years ago. They had an amazing string of matches in 2016, 2017. But that felt like a dream match because we never thought we would see it because AJ was in TNA and then we got it and it was amazing. But like a Riddle, Cena, like are many people talking about that as many people are as, like Riddle and Brock or Riddle and Goldberg? I don't think so. Or even, Adam Cole and John Cena, I guess. But that is one match. You're absolutely right that I totally forgot about. Cena and Velveteen Dream. Because we all know that John Cena is well aware of who Velveteen Dream is. And he has pointed him out as someone that would be a dream opponent for himself. I don't know if it was earlier this year. I think it was last year. Someone had asked him at one of those Comic-Con panel things, like, who would you like to face from NXT between Dream, Cole, and Ricochet? And he outright said Velveteen Dream. Because, I mean, I'm sure he admires the in-ring ability of those other guys. And Velveteen Dream is a great wrestler in his own right, but he's more of a character. And I think that's what kind of draws Cena to Velveteen Dream. So that absolutely is a match I would love to see.